So I'm interested in this kind of spectrum of questions of whether we liked something or didn't like something, and the difficulty of sometimes we know we didn't like it, but we're not quite sure why, or we know we did like it, we're not quite sure why, or we hated it, but we can't tell other people. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have conversations in small groups about the production of Romeo and Juliet. But I'm aware, in to some sense, of when I come up to you and say, tell me why you didn't like it, it's difficult to answer. So what we've got, we're going to break those conversations down into specific questions and specific themes. So we have 6 conversations. Can I have 6 volunteers, please?
Storage.
I volunteer. Thank you.
Any other volunteers? 2 more volunteers. Another volunteer. Okay, so we have 6 conversations, and we're going to choose what conversation we want to have. So it's about what you think was most interesting about the performance. So the different options we have are, can you hold yours up, please? Wait, just hold it up your head. The performers. Were you interested in the performers, in what they did, in how they acted, how they moved? Was that for you the most interesting thing about the performance? Can you hand up yours? Actually, come back. Put your pen. Can you hand up yours, please? Okay, we have the narrative conversation. Was the most interesting thing to you the story? Some of you might never have heard of Romeo and Juliet before, some of you might know it well. So was the most interesting thing how they told the plot? Okay, you hold yours up, please. Okay, sound and music. Now, we might not think there was much music, but there's certainly lots of sound in it. Lots of noises they made. So was that interesting? Would you like to talk about the sound and music in the piece? You know what yours? Scenographic. Does anyone know what scenographic means? Can someone give me a very simple definition?
It's the scenery or the devices one uses and the backgrounds and everything
So
on stage.
so even simpler, it's what it looks like in
Yeah.
a way, isn't it? So there wasn't a set, but that might still be interesting to talk about. So you can talk about specific things, or this is the generic conversation. Generic means anything, in general. It means just talk about the performance. Okay. Or we have this one, and this is kind of like, what's it you call it when you have the kind of the odd one out, the kind of the weird one, the slightly quirky one, the experimental conversation. You don't know what you're going to get if you have that conversation. So if you choose this one, you might get weird questions. Don't look. They're not that exciting. Okay, so could the 6 people with the booklet stand in 6 different places in the room?
On the positive side.
No, anywhere you like. And hold them up. And walk around the room and choose which conversation you want to have.
Do you want to talk about Scénographie? Yeah. No, we want to translate. No, that will be translated.
Okay, is everybody thinking? Don't worry, you haven't necessarily chosen yet. So let's just look at what we think people want to talk about. You're not sure. So we have some people want to talk about the music and sound. That's interesting again because there wasn't any. Was there any music?
Some stick.
Sure. Well, that's maybe I'll think to remember. We've got quite a lot of people wanting to talk about the scenography. Got 2 people wanting to talk. 3 possibly want to talk about the story. We've got quite a group wanting to talk about the performers. Some people want to talk about weird things. And we've got some people wanting to have a general conversation. Does anybody want to change their mind? You can move, you can jump ship, you can see who's there and say, no, I don't want to. What I quite like is if we can have a spread, a mix of different people from different countries or different ages in each group. But in your groups, I want you to have conversations with each other about the 10 questions and walk through them. The first one is really easy. Did you like it? Because that's what we always ask each other when we leave a performance. What did you think? Did you like it? And just work through in the group your questions and talk to each other about Romeo and Juliet using this as the structure for your conversation. That make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and we'll have about half an hour, 45 minutes-ish to do that.
Sit down.
You can sit down. So yeah, so you can grab a table or a beanbag and you can sit down.
Story, and then they were in again.
In the church, yeah. In the bar, yeah. And on the balcony. No.
Pink, neon pink.
Neon color. Neon
Experimental.
Neon pink.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just
We have been working together.
Any color now? But this point?
Yeah.
Black.
Okay, we will move on to the next one. Oh my god. You're going to love this. Make a sound, a noise, or word represent how the performance made you feel. Try to write this down. Why did you make this sound?
We were supposed to now use that one?
Yeah, I think it's for afterwards. We'll save the we'll use this make a sound and noise.
I don't think we can.
No.
Just write on the paper there. But make the sound. I want to hear them all around the room.
But it's or no.
You can also pick a color.
Okay, so start to make a sound. Let's go this way. Starting with Christina.
Let's make it loud.
First, make a sound, a noise, or word to represent how the performance made you feel.
Okay.
Try to write.
Sounds and noise or words. Yaka taka 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 taka.
Then write it down.
Try to write it down and the following.
Okay. So, thank you very much for that. Hopefully, you had some good conversations. I know some of them you'll have found fitted in with the performance more than others, and that may reflected in the speed you went through the questions. Did anybody come up with other question they wanted to ask other people? I don't know, not everybody got to the last question. The last question was, is there any question you would like to ask other people about this performance? Anybody have any questions they have from any additional conversations? That's all right. Okay, so I've got one last exercise to do, and this time it's something for you to do on your own, and you'll need a piece of paper and a pen. So I'm just going to explain what it is, and then you can go and you can find your own space and just draw it. So everybody in English we call these kind of spider diagrams or brainstorms. Do you use the phrase brainstorm?
See, brainstorm, yes.
Yeah. So the idea of a brainstorm is you put something in the middle, and then it explodes out to everything else that's kind of attached to it or is kind of connected to it. So you put one thing in the middle and other things it makes you think of.
Okay.
So I want you all to have a think about one thing that you remember from watching the performance, and that could be something you saw, or it could be something you felt, or something you thought about, or something you've talked about now. And I'll put that one thing in the middle.
Excuse me, but one thing means one word or
No, not one word.
okay.
One image, one memory.
Mhm.
So a sentence,
Okay.
an image, and put that in the middle, and then spend a few minutes on your own trying to fill in all the other circles, kind of like expanding that memory. So you're going deeper into it. What did that one memory make you think of? What did it make you feel? What did it remind you of? It might not be in the play. It might be outside the play. And we're just interested in recording these on a piece of paper now as things you remember from the performance. And it shouldn't take you too long, sort of 15 minutes, absolutely maximum. For some of you, it will take less. But try and fill in as much detail as you can about that one memory. And see if you can surprise yourself about what you can remember. So there are a whole bundle here, and I'll distribute them around the room. And if you want to grab them, and there should be pens, there's a group of pens here, and so on. So if everybody could just take a go around and find yourself a pen, and find yourself a space, and try and do it on your own. So try and spend time with your own memory. I just want to sort of pause and just say one thing I think is interesting. We spent about the same length of time talking about the show as the show took. And it's not often we do that. Sometimes we see something and then we move on to the next thing, the next film or the next YouTube clip or the next text really quickly. So what I've really been interested in here is just slowing down our conversation about something. Sometimes it's really, some of the questions you have, depending on which booklet you have, is really specific. And to pause, or with the slide diagram exercise, the idea of that is to pause with your own memory. And some of you might have found that you wrote down things, you wrote something in the middle and then you thought, I'm never going to finish all these circles, and then you did. So thank you very much for taking part and indulging whether you liked the performance or didn't like the performance in talking about it. Hopefully in talking about it you found out something about, if not your own responses, other people's responses. If you didn't like it, you'll have found other people who did like it. Found out people remembered different things about it. And that's interesting as well. So thank you very much for taking part. It's been wonderful to meet so many multilingual people and be the only single language person in the room. And so thank you.